Welcome to Catabolic Window, episode 52. We've done a full year now. I feel like we missed some weeks, so we might have been gone.
Mate, I thought it was 51.
Nah, bruv, it's 52. I posted 51. You can see currently on YouTube the Cunty Christmas Classic, episode 51, mate. So this has been going on longer than a year now, for sure, which is ridiculous. And we hope that it ends soon. I think would be a fair statement to make. Every podcast, we hope it's our last, and that's pretty much where we're at with
But
everything.
every single week,
We
I
come
have
back.
this guy hounding me in the DMs. Luke, when are we going to record another podcast?
Hounding you, yeah.
Are you sure you can't do today? I really want to record a podcast with you.
Yeah, I miss you, mate. I miss you.
That's cute.
It is cute, and it's also episode 52 of the Catabolic Window podcast, which is crazy. I can't get over that. Currently, me and Luke are both eating. Right, Luke's eating, so I'll kind of run through what I've got here. Yeah, it's as shit as it looks. If you're a listener, so what this is this is nothing against the brand because it's all flavor based. Supplement Needs, a generally good brand, have a new vegan protein powder, which is made of, I think it's mainly made of pumpkin, and then to make it a complete sauce, they've individually dosed the aminos to make it complete, which is badass, right? Fucking badass. Issue is that it's got like two flavors. One of them's like malt wheat or something, or like it's like a cereal, and I went for chocolate peanut, which is the only other one. The flavor of the vegan protein powder is awful. It's so bad. It digests fine. It's complete. It tastes horrendous. I've put 60 grams into this cream of rice, because Tom recommended the whey. I keep calling it whey. Recommended the powder. I bought the powder. Tastes like shit. I thought it'll be fine in the cream of rice. It isn't. It's awful. And so now I've got to
Mate,
slowly slog through this.
Cream of rice recommendations or protein powder recommendations, you need to bid him off. That's outrageous.
Yeah, no, honestly, like, if anyone out there listening knows any good, yummy, well digesting vegan protein powders that are complete, you can't have all three, all four, right? It can't be a vegan powder that doesn't give you the shits, that that is actually complete and actually tastes nice. It will do three of those, but it won't do all four. And it's really, really annoying. I've never encountered one that does all four, which is annoying because if you like cream of rice like me, you have to eat cream of rice and a plate full of like beef or chicken on the side. And it's not fun, brev. It's not fun.
So much better.
It makes meal prepping such a task because you're using like two containers, bruv. For one meal, get out. Two containers for one meal, get out.
Just
out.
do a DP fit and put the chicken in the core.
I bet I've seen people do like unflavored core, like savory core. Nah, bro. Nah, that's so invalid. That is so invalid. Just have rice. Just eat rice. Why are you making it cream of rice? The texture is like, I don't want to eat baby food cream of rice. I don't want to eat baby food chicken. Today's topic is cream of rice flavors. What's everyone's favorite cream of? No, I'm kidding. Luke, is there anything that you did want to talk about? Because otherwise, I'll just keep filling in the gaps.
Yeah, I've got a topic, but it's for later.
Oh, yeah.
It's not really a topic, just something that annoyed me.
Yeah.
How was session with John?
Oh, yeah. So, John, he will be coming back on the podcast. Don't worry, guys. Look at that spoon. It looks like I've shoved it up myself. That's horrendous.
Why would you even say that?
Grim.
Yeah, we had to take John off like we did Dan. We had to get rid of Dan.
Yeah,
He was awful.
Yeah, sorry.
No.
Contract fell through.
We couldn't sign him. He was signed by, what's it called? Balancing Act. That's it.
Balancing, yeah, he's signed by Balancing. Yeah, so for those that don't know, Dan got a $250,000 contract from Balancing Act, which we just couldn't compete with. Like Catabolic was only offering him 200 grand, so yeah, a bit peak. I've still got this spoon in shot. If anyone's a video, I'll watch it. Look how it's not moving, bruv. Anyway, so I've got a new
You mean
spoon.
it's not falling off because it's that solid?
Yep, it's grim. I don't want more water in it though because I don't want it to be bigger. But me and John linked up for a session, graftism, delts and arms because I got a new split. It's quite funny. I sent Tom over my pictures, and he was like, like, I know I've got some lagging body parts, but I didn't consider chest to be one. So when someone tells you you've got a lagging body part that you didn't think you have, it is always a little bit of a head fuck. I sent him
that to me.
Yeah. He was like, I know you say delts and arms is a focus for you. And I was like, yeah. He was like, definitely I agree with arms. And I was like, okay, fair, valid. He was like, biceps more than triceps. I was like, sure, valid, okay. And then I sent him, he was like, can you send over your pics? And I did. And he just replied, chest is about to blow up. And I was like, right, yikes.
That's always something I say when I get like a first lot of form clips from a client and they're terrible.
Yeah.
I'm like, right. The good news is we've got a lot of room to improve, which is when you're going to make a load of progress. The bad news is what you're doing right now is horrific.
Exactly that. I always say that to people, like whenever I have a consultation or get form feedback or whatever, if someone's like comes to me with a problem and we can find holes in what they're doing, good. Imagine if a client came to you and they were like, I've done this for 3 years and I've not been growing, and you looked at everything and it was perfect. You'd be like, fuck. Sorry, mate, this is just how you are. You know what I mean? Whereas if someone's like, I've been training for ages and I just can't seem to grow, I just, hit plateaus or I struggle bulking or whatever, and then you look at what they're doing and you can immediately see the flaws, it's like, okay, thank God, because you have room to improve. I had a guy come to me, be like, I want to improve my bench press. Looked at his bench press. The guy could not leg drive to save his life. There you go, easy. It's like, calm, cool. Easy route for us to initially add a good slab of like 20, 30 kilos on. Once he's learned to leg drive, then we can look at, okay, where else is letting him down in that chain. But if you have obvious issues with you, fantastic, good. Like, that's nice, that's solvable. That's what we want to see. And that's what excited me when I messaged Tom. So I'm going to just be sucking off Tom this whole podcast, apparently. Where I was like, here's kind of how things have been going. And he's like, yeah, we can improve in these areas. And I was like, cool, good. I don't want to... I want to be told there's more progress to take. Like, I'd rather be told, if you try harder, you'll get more. Rather than if he's like, yeah, that's perfect, keep going. I'd be like, rah, that's a bit upsetting. Because I want more.
What if you just don't want it bad enough?
Exactly, bro. He told me.
So what if my problem is having you as a friend and like literally being chained to this podcast every week? What do I do then?
If that's your problem, buy me out. Like Dan got bought out. Buy me out.
How much?
How many Bugattis do you have? Because you got 3. I know you got at least. You got 3 yesterday.
Israel has like 7 Lamborghinis, doesn't he?
Does he?
I've got at least. No, it's a joke.
Oh yeah, sorry. He always talks about
every video. He's like, buy our stuff so I can get another Lamborghini.
Yeah.
So I've got at least 8 Bugattis, and then one is like miniature sized for the cat to sleep in.
Give me the miniature one.
Sleeping on my bed and just leaving dirt on it. Like, why would you do this? She's literally on the other side of the table now. Did I tell you she bit me last week?
Yeah, you did.
Even about that?
Still haven't recovered, mate. Trauma. Real trauma. Luke, how was your week then? Because
what was your new delts and arms session?
Lying cable lateral raise, close grip Smith, because tricep with a little bit of chest, because apparently my chest is weak. Disagree. No, I'm kidding. And then it was rear delts, rear delt fly, preacher curl, crossbody push down, incline curl, and laterals. So pretty decent.
I didn't listen to the second half of that. I heard incline, and this is just going to be your weekly reminder that if you do an exercise where the elbow is behind your body but there's no tension at the bottom, it's not a lengthened exercise. And we're going to move on from there.
I've been watching people put partials or pauses into the lengthen range where there's no tension, and it's like,
yeah, I'm just going to rest here, bro. It's going to be great.
Yeah, literally. It's like, what are you... That doesn't make sense. What are you doing? What are you trying to achieve? Anyway.
Beating it, bro. Just beating it.
I did a story the other day literally being like, if your intention with an exercise is to load a certain range, that needs to follow through in what you actually do. You can't just be like, I'm doing a face away cable curl, that's a length and range exercise. You need to actually still make it a length and range exercise by how you're performing it, where you're placing it in the session, how you're setting it up. Am I missing anything? How you set up, how you perform it,
You're doing so.
order of the session. Double the price.
Oh. What annoys me, right, is every time that I walk into the place where everyone does these curls, the stack is on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm like, I move it up there every week. So can the next person just leave it there, please? Like,
Literally.
it's so much better.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much better. And it's when, like, the person that's doing it, like, should know better.
Yeah.
I'm like, you should know this, surely. Like, even whether that's because of who they are or because of who they're coaching. I'm like, you should know, like, that what you're doing doesn't make sense.
Yep.
And they just don't. They're just clueless. Every week, yeah, guys, we're training the length and range here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, you are. Great. Is that why you always fail at the top?
that honestly,
Because
that,
if you're really training the length and
Yeah.
range, what happens when you fail is you finish the rep, you try and go for the next one, and your arm just doesn't move out the bottom.
Mm-hmm. The amount of messages,
I'm small, so
the amount of messages I got after I set up a cable lateral raise to be lengthened, and I made a video being like, look, I failed in the lengthened. That's a pretty good. Even if you don't believe me about how I've set it up, there's a pretty good indication that it's probably a length and range challenge. And the amount of people that messaged me being like, I didn't know that's how it works, and I was like, how did it not work that way? Funny enough, you're probably going to fail where it's hardest.
weird that. Another quick rant for this week. Did you see my story yesterday? Why does everyone upload minute stories?
Yeah.
Bro, it's so annoying. Like, I just skip them. I just don't care. I'd happily watch, like, the last 2 reps and see you die or see you be an absolute mong. But I'm not watching a minute of your training.
I feel like the two rep rule is a good rule to follow unofficially. Of generally, especially if you're lifting with control, 2 reps is about the most that you're going to show someone of a lift. Maybe more if you've got a lot of text to say or if you've got a voiceover, but 2 reps is a good amount. That's like 10 seconds, man.
I did a 9 repper and it took me a minute.
Mate, people, I feel like
waiting to spot me, and I'm like, he's going to be so bored right now.
people get like so caught up in rep range, and it's not necessarily just rep range that you need to be concerned about, because we know 5 to 30 is pretty equal stimulus. It's about your tempo.
It's only 8 to 12.
Yeah, sorry, it's only 8 to 12. Yeah.
Only 8 to 12 for hypertrophy.
Even then, when we're talking about 5 to 30, that doesn't mean that stimulus cuts off at 4 and 31. Like, there's stimulus across all
Yeah,
sets.
if you're Ben Henson and you're doing an 80 reps set of deadlifts, like, you're position.
But
Did you watch that set, bro? It was like 9 minutes long.
Yeah.
I want him to do it again. It was so funny.
Fucking insanity, man. But the point is, it's not just about the reps that you're using, it's about the tempo that you're using as well. Rep range is kind of down somewhat to preference, I would argue. There's a few more things that go into that, but like, people always have the association of like, oh, higher reps, lower injury risk. And it's like, no, I'd argue that actually controlling the lift is going to be better for injury risk than just having higher reps arbitrarily. If you do like a 25 repper, you're probably going to have some shit reps in there. Those shit reps might be more damaging to your joints.
I love that when you see someone do their top set and it's like really well controlled, and then you see them do their back off set and it goes from like 3-second eccentric to slingshots.
Yeah, literally. But people be like, I'm doing a 25 repper because my shoulder hurts on a rear delt, and then they're literally cranking their fucking shoulder backwards, or like their alignment is wank, or there's absolutely zero control for the change of direction, and they're going into like a passive range of motion, slamming themselves in and out of it. Like, just because you're lifting at a lighter load for more reps doesn't make it any less injury preventing. It's all about, like, I'd rather see you do like a 10 rep set to failure with actually good control and a really slow tempo. That's probably going to be far less damaging than just crushing your shoulder with 30 reps and no tempo.
I feel like with free weights, people do that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, they just sling stuff about.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Like,
100%.
I love putting someone on like a 4-to-1 cable stack. I'm just like, yeah, do it now. See what happens.
Yeah, try
And
and throw it.
there's a time and a place for it for sure. Like when I
Hmm.
so when I do my dumbbell lateral raises, I posted this earlier.
Yep.
Like the first couple of reps, I'll literally like ease out of the bottom because it's
Hmm.
really easy there. And then as I get like 45 degrees,
Hmm.
I'll then start to accelerate because
Yeah,
it gets much harder. So I'm
exactly.
manipulating the profile by
Hmm.
the speed that I do it. And if you don't think the speed that you do something matters, let me place a dumbbell on your chest versus throw it at you.
100%. I was talking about this. This is what I mean with a lengthened challenge versus a short challenge, whatever. If you're saying that a dumbbell lateral raise is a short challenge and you're fucking launching from the bottom upwards, congratulations, you've made it less of a short challenge. If that really is your intention, you need to make sure that you actually follow through with that. Like Luke said, mate, he's deliberately moving in a way to make it less of a short, more of a bit more mid to short challenge, bit more of a balanced challenge. I don't know, depends where you fail, depends how quickly you move it.
Half a set and everything was on fire.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
often.
and when I'll get to like the last three or four,
Mm,
and I will launch out of the bottom
yep.
to get it up there, and then I'll get onto like the final one. I'm like, well, this is going nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get to fail an entire rep rather than failing halfway through a rep. It's the same for like if you've got limited equipment and you've got someone just doing short range after short range after short range exercise, you might get their tempo to start off pretty slow and then go quicker and quicker and quicker as they fatigue so that we get a bit more of a
Oh,
balanced profile.
that's too complicated, bro. You can't be doing that.
That's too
Too
complicated, bro.
overcomplicating it. Don't want people to make progress like that.
One of my favorite things is when people give like very complicated terms to like a gym newbie, and it's like, did you really have to say 3 to 4 second concentric? Could you not just say quick on the way up, slow on the way down? You know what I mean? Like, I've got nothing wrong with complicated coaching terms, but whenever I see certain plans that like gym newbies have got, and they'll be like, "No one explained to me what a concentric is," and it's like, yeah, you don't really need to know. You just need to know enough to like make good enough progress.
Or if you are going to use the complicated term, you use the language that they would understand
Yeah.
first, and then say the complicated thing. So I could say shoulder blade, aka scapula, and they're like, "Oh, I've heard
Yeah.
all of these guys on TikTok talk about scapula. Now I know what scapula is."
Yeah, absolutely. The role of a coach overall is like you are trying to make your clients better after coming to see you. And no client's going to be with you forever. So they need your role as a coach should be to kind of educate them as much as possible so that
No, you
if
just sue them if they try and leave, bro. Like,
yeah, get the fucking debt collectors around, what are they called, fucking bailiffs and shit. Oh days, oh my days, man. But yeah, like you exactly like Luke said, you might start like we might start off with a new client and just be like across the board slow and controlled, right? We just want to see how they perform things. Then we might start talking about pauses. Then we might start talking about reducing rest between reps. Then we might start talking about speed on concentrics. Now that we've got someone controlling a dumbbell lateral, now can we keep that control and move a little bit quicker? Does that feel okay? Now can we start to talk about what phase of the lift are they in? Now can we start to throw around those terms? And like you said, we might start off with like chest up, shoulders back, and then we might start getting to the point where like retract your scaps, depress your scaps, where we can use terms that we're more familiar with and more comfortable using, a bit more technical, and sort of level up that client in terms of their knowledge. Not every client's going to be interested in that, but if the client is, then there's no reason to not teach them that. There's no reason to keep using baby terms forever, but there's also no reason to start talking about fucking the glenohumeral joint as soon as they're onboarded.
that's jokes. That's actually yeah. Like with the tempo thing, like once I'm happy with the control that someone's got, and
Yeah.
they're sending me form footage, and they're like, "How is this?" I'm like, "You're the one who's in control of this now, because externally it looks great.
Yeah.
I want you to do this with a tempo that you get the most from. If that's a
Yeah.
2 second pause in the short, if that's a 2 second pause in the length, and if that's a 5 second eccentric, and that's what feels best for you, perfect. As long as you don't look like you're going to break yourself, I'm happy."
That's a really good point, I think. That's individualized tempo. I like that. One thing that we'll probably do a lot as well is like,
Everyone gets the same plan.
yeah, exactly. Everyone has a 3 second negative. It's got to be 3 seconds. I love that. It's like I very rarely tell people an amount of time. I'll give like a ballpark. I'll just be like, your idea of a long pause. How long of a pause do you think that feels like? I mean, I'd say to my eye, maybe go a little bit slower. But how does that feel? Does that feel okay? Some people, I might even say that tempo is really slow. You could probably go a bit quicker, and they're like, I like this. I'm like, that's fine. But as well, like we'll probably talking about like teaching clients to like feel muscles as well. When we're teaching them about like feeling their lat, we might talk about, bend to one side, hold your shoulder blade down, kind of limiting the amount of range of motion they can get. But then as they start to feel their lat more and more, now we're like, okay, let that shoulder blade move freely. You don't actually need to lean to one side. Then we can start to kind of load lengthen ranges as well and get them feeling that. So the goal of a coach should be, things should progress over time. It shouldn't just be like the same over and over and over again. Unless you're going in the deep end from week one, which again, why would you? But every client has progression and you're trying to get them more and more advanced.
Another thing that vexes me as well, when it's like the same tempo for a calf raise and a hack squat.
Yeah.
You're moving through there is very different.
Yeah.
Like if it's a legit 2 seconds on a calf raise, like that's pretty slow. Whereas if it's 2 seconds on a hack squat, like that's a slingshot.
Yeah. Like that's not always like necessary. Like on a hack, I'd argue it's already pretty damn lengthened, loaded. You don't really need a crazy pause unless you're particularly going for that for whatever reason, but just enough to remove momentum and then get out the rep. And then I'd rather see people load it a bit heavier and be able to progress it. That's another thing to bear in mind. Like you take a Gen Pop client and they're like, I fucking hate squats, and you're like, cool, do them with a 5-second pause. They're gonna be like, no, I don't want to progress that. Like it needs to be, sometimes we have to program in a way where we're like, this could be improved, but we'll get back to that. We'll get them used to squatting and pushing themselves, and then once they're better at that, then maybe we can implement a pause. But I see,
yeah, like practical for that client is getting them training their legs.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I don't care what would be best for them. It's best in the situation because they're actually going to do it.
Yeah, it's like you might have sets that are designed to just kind of accrue volume, to just kind of get that muscle like trained, and then you might have deliberate sets where you're like, okay, one set on this exercise, I really want you to push to failure, I really want you to learn this, and you might pick something that they really enjoy. It might be like, okay, you're going to do like 5 sets of quads today, 4 of them are going to be like a 7 or 8 out of 10 difficulty, and then your last set on leg extension, I just want you to go until you can't go anymore. Because sometimes you need to teach people that failure point, because you can't just keep people away from failure and just keep adding volume. Like you need to teach those people to progress closer to failure, even if that means
just do less intensity. Works every time.
Yeah, but yeah, if they're 20 reps away from failure, just double the volume until they keep crying.
It'll be great. It'll be great. Yeah, one of the things that vexed me, I opened TikTok to post on there earlier.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I know. Great content ideas though. There was this dude with like an EMG device on his rear delt, and he was like going through different positions on a machine fly, and then he was like, this is what happens if you do the lateral raise machine but like bend over so you can turn it into a rear delt rowy thing. And then this is what happens if you do like a behind the back barbell raise.
Okay.
And he was like, this gets you 60%, this gets you 70%, this gets you 95%, so you have to do this. Okay, yeah, but it looks like a really uncomfortable exercise.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, bro?
EMG doesn't tell you everything, and as well, you've just got to bear in mind the individual, man. Like, like, just because something shows more rear delt activation doesn't mean it's going to give more rear delt stimulus. Yeah, it's probably a good idea to generally head towards, and bear in mind if it's got higher EMG activation, and maybe we should steer towards it. But like, yeah, if you're gonna make someone bend over, get a fucking barbell behind their back and start like, is that what the one you're on about? Yeah, bro. Yeah. A lot of people aren't going to be able to do that. A lot of people aren't going to feel comfortable doing that. Imagine asking a girl who's new to the gym to bend over with a barbell behind their back. Seriously, they're not going to be comfortable with it. Whereas like, if you've got a super hardcore bodybuilder who's got great shoulder mobility, really wants to improve their rear delts and will do anything, maybe give it a whirl and see how they get on with it. But as well, you've got to bear in mind like, how easy is it to progress? If they're fixed barbells, jump weight quite aggressively, maybe that's also not going to be the best for them. Like if it's like jumping 10-20 kilos, like fucking hell. Or if the lightest one they have is 50 kilos, like it's going to be pretty shoddy, isn't it?
No, they just don't want it bad enough.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I didn't even look at the gym when I wrote the program. I vibed with that one, so I went for that one. I didn't bear in mind the individual of the gym. Fucking hell, man. Some coaches, bruv. I could go on all fucking day about some coaches, mate. Jarring. You should, if the listeners at home could see our group chat, I think they would be like, holy shit. Because we call out coaches all the time in private.
Yeah, but it's not. That sounds bad, but it's just like, why? Like, I'm genuinely curious why. Like,
It's
can I have a
normally it's normally people who you think should know better, and maybe they do,
yeah,
just making quite entry level mistakes, and you're kind of like, I don't think you do this all the time, but it's quite funny that you've done this. Um, yeah, it's I did make it sound worse than it is. Like it makes it sound like a bunch of cunts who think we're better than everyone, and we are, but we don't think that. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's a
that's why
joke.
we
That's a
call
joke.
the podcast week.
But normally it's like high level coaches who you think would know better getting things wrong, and we're like, that's a little bit iffy, but it's never anything major. It's not like this person's put this client through this horrible experience. It's like content that they're posting and you're like, yeah, that's quite wrong, and quite immediately wrong. Some of it you can tell what's wrong from the thumbnail alone. And that's quite funny. Like before, I could see someone sent something into the group chat without even watching the video. I'm like, I already know what this is about.
Yeah, there's a difference between simplifying it and it being technically wrong so that
Yeah.
people actually understand it. If it's useful for them, then that's absolutely fine with me. If it's like 10% wrong or whatever it may
Yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah.
But it's when it's like it logically doesn't make sense and it's objectively worse.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think you really do have to talk to your audience. Like, there was a time I was talking about, I think it was one of my push days a few weeks back. I was like, fuck it, let's go in detail on this. I was talking about like the exercise order and different resistance profiles and shit like that. And I was trying to break it down into layman's terms. So instead of resistance profile, I said level of difficulty. I would put it in quotation marks. Or like, this is hardest when my tricep is shortest. Like instead of being like it's a shortened range challenge, just try and like I'm forgetting my own phrasing now, but instead of using like yeah, I think the main one I can remember off the top of my head was instead of saying resistance profile, I would be like how hard this gets, or I would just simply be like I've set this up to match where my delt is now strongest to weakest. And I think the phrase I used was like kicks on when I want it to and fucks off when I want it to. Something like that. But like there's no need to be like I've set it up in this way to challenge this range and it's going to kick in here and kick off there. Like people aren't going to listen, they're not going to care. If you can explain it in simple terms that people understand, you know, and if they've got any questions, I'll ask you. That's what I feel like too many coaches are either oversimplifying and getting things wrong, like what I said wasn't wrong, or they're just like slamming people with like stimulus to fatigue ratio and resistance profile, and it's like a lot of people don't care, they just want how can this help me, and that's what you need to focus on.
Legit. And back to the EMG thing for a second. It's also like
Sorry mate, I've
also
been
the
talking for ages.
total amount of load that you're using.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we could get into a position where it feels absolutely crazy and you're getting a crazy amount of activation for the muscle. You're using 2 kilos. Like, okay, cool. That's definitely going to grow your muscle. Brilliant.
that's something we do need to bear in mind is like I've talked a lot so I'll keep this short. Like sensation and how much you're getting out of it is very contextual. Sometimes we are as coaches looking for how does this feel, but sometimes we're not looking for how does this feel. Like for example, classic with like a squat compound, if the knee is really far over the toe and they're like I don't feel a ton of quad, but like, okay, well we still know there is a lot of quad stimulus going on. But if you're telling me that the leg extension I'm giving you with a pause at the top isn't feeling very quaddy, then I'm a little bit concerned. But again, if someone says to me like I feel a lot of glute or I feel a lot of earlobe or this hurts, it's still going to be considered. It's not always going to be like the thing that makes us change the plan, but sensation is something where I feel like people either completely ignore it or always listen to it, and it's something where it really depends on the context. Like Luke, you've probably got clients be like, when I do this I feel this, and you're like, okay, that's a little bit odd, but I'm kind of happy with the way things are going, so I'm not really going to make any changes unless this becomes a bit more deeper or I think there's an issue here.
Yeah,
Or
that's
am I
the
wrong?
polite way of saying thank you for giving me information we're not going to do anything with.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes you are just like there's not much that maybe it's because we're talking about comparing a short range to a lengthened range exercise. They're like, I feel the short range more, and you're like, well, I'd rather program you the lengthened range, to be honest, and you're performing it fine and the stimulus is going to be good, so I'm just going to give you that. But again, case by case basis, I'm overgeneralizing, but I'm sure there's examples you can think of, mate.
Yeah, like when I really care is when someone has a crap body part and they never feel it. Then I'm like, okay, this is interesting, and we need to play around with this. Like if you were like, oh yeah, I never feel my chest, then sorry to rub that in. Then you have a problem. Whereas if you were like, I don't know, I never feel my triceps, I'm like, okay, but they're decent, so it's not the end of the world.
Exactly, yeah. Like I had a guy come to me who's like, I can never feel my chest on bench. So I was like, right, well, let's see how you bench. Let's put bench in. You enjoy bench. We've made some corrections and he's felt it. If he hadn't, we probably would have swapped it out because chest is a focus for him. Sometimes we're like, okay, is there a way we can manipulate this? But if someone comes to you and they're like, I've been doing this for ages and it hasn't grown my chest, you can look at how they're performing it. And if they're still like benching perfectly and they don't feel their chest and they never have and it's never grown it, just swap it. Like at that point, it's like, just swap it. But you might look at someone and go, well, you don't feel it in your chest, but actually based off of your progress, this seems to grow you pretty well, so maybe we'll leave it in. I don't feel 100% all of the lifts that I do, particularly ones that like tend to grow me well. But then there are also, like for certain body parts, like my side delts, my biceps, my chest, I do want to make sure that in the lifts that I should be feeling it, I am feeling it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Okay, second topic, sort of.
Go on.
These aren't really topics, but anyway. Do you ever have, or when was the last time you had this situation with a client where like what they wanted to do isn't what they needed to do in order to get the best results, whether that be like over the next week or over the next 3 months?
Gotcha. Is the question what I do in that scenario? When was the last time that happened?
Just what happened, I guess.
The last time that happened. It depends to what degree. Like, is it just that is it just that they've got a lift that they really enjoy? Is it just that they're really attached to 2 meals a day? Or is it that they insist on training every single day in a row? Like,
No, I think sort of like
yeah.
bigger or more longer term, like the sort of thing where they want to build muscle but they're already pretty fat, or
Gotcha. Okay. I haven't run into that in a while. Whether that's luck or just setting expectations, I'm not entirely sure. The general conversation I always have with people is like, you're paying me for my advice. I can give you my advice, but ultimately, if you started bulking and you started eating food, I can't stop you. So if you're going to bulk, and I don't think you should, I'm going to tell you. But if you really want to go down that route, I'll explain the pros and cons. I'll explain why I don't think it's a good idea. If you still want to do it, we'll just do it as best as we can. Because ultimately, it is your choice. Unless there's someone who's like, I want to be competitive for my physique, or I want to do a photo shoot, or something a bit more serious, or maybe they're a coach, and I'm like, right, and I'd normally say to them, for anyone else, I'd say cool, crack on. But for you, you have this goal, you've come to me for this reason. We need to bear in mind that trumps how we feel sometimes. And if you are serious about that, then we do need to have a little pep talk and kind of talk this through and find a way to make this process enjoyable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love asking you questions and you don't know where I'm going with it. It's so funny because I can see the look in your face and you're like, is he going to make me sound dumb?
I am dumb. Double the price.
Double the price so you can get smarter, more smart.
Yeah, bro. We've made so much money with the amount of times we've doubled the price, mate.
We've done it in the last 5 podcasts, haven't we?
Yeah, just get one client that you charge like 100k a year. You're like, cool.
Because every time you double the price, it doubles again.
Exponential, man.
It'd actually be it'd be 2, 4, 8, 16 times the price, bro. Jeez. Crazy.
That is good.
Just
That's
to
good
clarify,
money.
Yeah, that is a joke, by the way, guys.
Every time we say double the price, we're taking the piss out of... I don't think coaches actually do that, but we're just taking the piss.
Yeah, I don't know where you got that idea from initially, but it is funny.
I thought it was your idea.
there will be times where what you want to do isn't what you need in order to get the thing that you say that you want.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
an example that's happened recently with me would be someone in the situation where they are uncomfortable with the amount of body fat that they have and they want to lose more body fat, but they're in a position where their calories are so low that they're struggling to adhere and they don't have time to do more expenditure. So it's like, okay, we can drop calories on paper, but if you're not able to stick to it all the time anyway, you're probably just going to end up eating more, which is directly counterproductive to what you want. So what you actually need to do in order to, say, lose body fat over the long term is to eat more food now so that you have food and expenditure in a better place, and you also have more muscle tissue, which is going to make losing fat easier. Man's on the squash.
It's clustered extra in 100 grams with bulking. Yeah, I know. Because that's what Tom said to do.
Post-workout clustered extra. What's the yellow bit at the bottom?
Clumps.
Of what?
Of clustered extra.
Oh, right. Wait, not yellow, red. Why is it red? Is it flavoured?
It's meant to be orange. Yeah, it's flavoured.
Oh, the dilute is orange.
Yeah. That's no, that is a really good point. I think sometimes it's the classic analogy of like taking 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward, or however it goes with the numbers. And you've raised a really good point there. I think, mate, you've handled that well. Like, I don't know what the point of that was. I'm just going to comment on it. Like, if you're a good coach, you're not just going to be like, Luke's not just going to be like, you're eating more food, do as I say. He's going to explain, okay, here's why we're eating more food, here's why we're doing it. Like, the amount of times I've given people in a diet, I'll be like, right, for the next 4 months, your food's up and your cardio's down and your steps are down, and we're just going to chill at this body weight for a bit. People need breaks from dieting in particular, or breaks from bulking as well. You can't just... Sometimes you do have to take an on-paper step back to get your psychology in the right place and get yourself in the right place, or even just wait until, say, if you've got like, it's the Christmas period, or something is going on in your personal life. Sometimes you kind of need to just wait it out depending on the situation you're in, and then push when you're in a better position. Or like with that client, making them hold body weight or even eat more food. They might be like, okay, I'm actually like, I'm feeling good, I'm ready to eat less, I'm ready to diet, I'm ready to get this over and done with, and then hopefully they'll come back to Luke and be like, yeah, I'm fired up, put me in, coach, kind of shit. Anyway, it's the clustered extra, bro.
Yeah, my cat is attacking the rug right now.
She's my cat.
She's our cat?
No, she's my cat.
Okay, bro.
Zoinkers.
Because what?
Why did you bring up that story? Was it just to bring up that client? Why did you ask me when was the last time? Was it literally just to tell that anecdote?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, fair. It's a good anecdote, mate. Well done.
Can you stop interrupting?
This is getting clipped on Insta.
Bro, have you seen her jumper?
Mm-mm.
It's outrageous. It's like different jumpers sewn together.
Oh, I thought it was like a shark for a sec.
It's just weird, man.
How did you just zoom out?
Huh?
Did you just zoom your camera out? Your camera just zoomed out.
No.
What the fuck? Okay.
I'm being watched. It's great. I've run out of things to say now.
Oh, and you zoomed back in. That was weird. Okay, cool. That's okay. You can watch that on YouTube. You'll see that. Weird. Yeah, I've ranted a lot, mate. Are there any? I mean, I could just ask you a few questions. Like, are there any like hot takes or rants that you've got? What about the classic question you love to ask me? Like, in the last 6 months to a year, what have you changed your mind the most on? Or, yeah, in terms of like your own training and coaching and stuff like that. Anything like that?
So we're getting deep.
Yeah, bro. It's tough on the spot, isn't it?
Deep things.
Can we just cut this whole bit?
No, mate, it's going in.
It's really annoying me. Can you go back in the other room, please?
I'm prepping.
You're not meal prepping an eclair, you moron. She's got a chocolate eclair that she's folding up and putting in clean film.
That's jokes. That is actually jokes.
He's done the bodybuilding equivalent of buying like a pack of cooked chicken from Tesco and then putting it in. Why are you putting this on the
Cheese
table?
savouries.
What is this
There.
for?
Good numbers.
Right, see you later. Go away. What have I changed my mind on?
Yeah.
I feel like I've said this one before, but just less consideration for what is on paper the most optimal thing and like what is actually realistic for the person.
I feel like you've made that shift. I remember when we did these and you had like the blue light blockers on. I feel like you've made that shift to be prioritization within what's optimal, and like not just like trying to slam everything and eke out every little percentage.
Yeah, I just broke my blue light blockers and never bought them.
But you seem a bit more relaxed, like knowing you in person. Not that you were ever stressed, but I think like you're still very dialed in. Do not get me wrong, but you're a bit more relaxed, which is kind of nice to see.
As evidence. See, that's what I was talking about the other day when you were doing that. When I and you roasted me. I'm like, bro, you let out some serious belches.
All I'm saying is I'm drinking my clustered extrim right now, and I've eaten my shit pot. And you're eating nice meals, mate. I'm in the trenches. I'm in the fucking trenches.
Shut up, bro. Yeah, so for anyone that has made it to this point in the podcast, we are going to upload the bloopers from the other day of filming. But if you do want to see them, message us and we will send you the link. I've watched them, I think, 3 times and I laughed so much every time. It's hilarious.
They are so fucking funny. They're so good.
Should we quit coaching and be comedians?
I think it would be great for us to do like some kind of talk. We're not at that point yet, but like having a live event or like a talk, I think would be so fucking good. I'd love that. Get on stage and just chat shit. A live podcast or something. Just get on stage and chat shit and ask the audience
We
questions.
have like 2 people turn up.
We get Aaron and Kez. That's literally it.
No, Keno would turn up and he'd just start asking us like the deepest possible questions.
Are you afraid to die?
Yeah, something like that. You roasted him, bro.
Oh, fucking hell.
Oh, man.
How is physique development going at the minute? In the gaining phase, how are things coming along?
Bro, I just keep recomping. It's so weird. Do you see that front double I posted yesterday? Yeah? I was like, I don't know what's going on.
You look phenomenal at the minute, and it's really pissing me off because I look like a fucking sack of potatoes, mate. But you look really good. Really, really good. You what?
Just take more gear.
Yeah, more gear. Yeah, more drugs, bro. Get them in. Tom, if you're listening, which you should be, Tom, if you are listening, can you DM us? Because I would love to know if you are. I bet you're not.
Yeah, that should be. I know he's listened to some in the past.
Yeah. I know he likes them. If you're listening, double the gear and then double the price. Let's go. You price per dose that your clients are on. No, you should price per calorie. For every calorie I have to get you to eat, it's like 5p.
No.
Yeah.
No, we need like an inverse relationship because if it's price per calorie, the lower someone's calories get, the more of a pain in the arse they become usually.
No, bro.
I know when you're on the podcast and you're on low calories, you're like, oh, I can't wait for my cream fries.
Yeah, but I'm built different. I could diet all day long, but I will not shut up about food. Like, I can get quite lean, but I'll make you fucking know I'm dieting. Like, you will not hear the end of it from me. You're the same about bulking. As soon as your food gets high, you're like, you'll eat a meal and you're like trying to hold it down, trying not to throw it up.
Yeah, man. I had a day like that the other day where I was getting full. I'm like, this isn't fun, but it was just the odd day, so it's all right.
Yeah, I had a
I'm
day
pretty
where...
sure my food is still like sub 3K. It's so easy.
Good. For you, good. There was a day where I accidentally turned a bagel meal into rice, and I suffered for that. Like, suffered. 3 bagels turned into rice was not paying. Not a good idea.
Dumb. That is dumb.
Yeah, I was like, I'm out of bagels. So, well, obviously I'm not going to have bagels, right? Because I need to eat. And I was like, I'm kind of hungry. We can do rice. Instead of veggies, I'll have fruit. And then, yeah, I got fucked. Absolutely fucked by that meal. I remember finishing it and then, like, I thought eating it was the hard bit. Keeping it down was the hard bit. That was a struggle. But here we are. I don't want to be struggling with my food at 90 kilo. That's so peak, bruv. Fucking hell. I'm never going to get big.
Stay small.
Yeah.
That is what happens when you listen to this podcast. You just stay small.
Well, yeah, catabolic, bro. I can't believe we've been doing this for a year, and this is how this is going. This episode right now, we're really running out of steam. Can you tell, listeners? We're really struggling.
Yeah, this episode is awful. We need to call it a day.
Okay, if you've listened for this long, it's the 1 year special. So please do put this up on
Buy
your
me
story.
anything.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent as much money as you spent on me.
I bought you cake the other day.
You didn't buy it.
No, I didn't say as in brought it to you.
Oh, you can have you can have this bottle when I'm done. You can have this. I'll tell you what. You can have my vegan protein powder, mate. Brilliant. Fucking chalk and shit is the flavor it is.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like pumpkin-y shit.
Your story. Tell us how much you love us, and then we might invite you to the live podcast if we triple the price.
If you're listening to this and you've listened from day one, or if you listen, fuck it. If you listen to this, put it on your story. Let us
Any
know.
day.
Let us know if you're in the UK, where you are based, and if we can jump in for a session with you, we will. If we can, it depends where you live, right? Within reason.
They tell us what to do.
What?
Are they telling us what to do?
Yeah, I tell you what, they have to take us through a session.
I don't know if I trust our listeners with that. Actually, if they've listened for the whole year, they might be all right.
That could be quite a fun test. That could be a fun test we put on Instagram. We have to get people to like walk us through a training program, and we assess how good they are based on like how well we've educated our audience. That could be quite
Can we
fun.
do that with each other?
If no,
That's so funny.
I mean sure, but like it's gonna be
I'd
pretty.
just try and break you. It'd be
It's-
hilarious.
Literally I was.
Like,
We
Jack,
can.
you know you're complaining about your scap. Yeah, can you give me extra scap movement, please? We need more. We need more length here.
If
bro.
we talked each other through a plan, it would be so boring. Because
Yeah,
we'd be like, yeah, because well, we've programmed separate plans for the CCC, and we both were like, yeah, good plan, solid. Except you weren't happy with my giant sets, but that was it.
Yeah, too complicated, bro.
Yeah, sorry guys. I'm a really advanced coach. Luke wouldn't quite get it. Goes over his head. He's like, the fuck is a giant set, bro? Just go over his head.
Jack 754.
Oh my god, I met my client Jack yesterday, and he was like, I got out of the car and he's like, I was like, I know he was taller than me, and I was like, yeah, I'm shorter than you expect, I'm sure. And he was like, yeah, I thought you were really tall. And then he was like, hang on, how short is Luke? Yeah,
That's-
apparently there's a few people out there who think you're like my height and I'm like Tom Taylor's height.
That's so.
Because when they
jokes,
look
man.
at us, they can't tell that like I'm a little bit below average and you're shorter than me.
We'll make up for it. I swear, it's all right.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Absolutely.
So when they're taking us through this session, then what do we do if they get stuff like wrong?
Tell them they're wrong.
What do we say? Just like you're retarded.
Yeah, we don't give why. We just say this is wrong.
Yeah.
And then you throw a tantrum, you throw a hissy fit. So if it's like a dumbbell exercise, you throw the dumbbell on the floor and you say this is wrong. And you don't do it.
And then you get extra points if you hit them on the toe.
But that would be fun. We get some random person on Instagram to take us both through a training plan. Like their
That'd be
their best programming, their most advanced programming knowledge. And we critique.
I feel like we're going to regret this so hard.
They critique our form and our tempo as well, like how we perform it. Like everything. So if they're like cable lateral raise, you're like, okay, what attachment, what height, what stack, what speed, where in the session. Mate, you're doing it all.
Yeah, I love doing when I was doing my PT qualification, I would do that with people, and
Yeah.
like as in other people in the group.
Yeah,
I would purposely do shit wrong and see what they said about it. It was so fun.
Did people pick
So,
up, or were they just too shy?
Try and be difficult.
Did people pick up, or were they too shy to say anything?
It depended on the person.
Yeah, I bet. But if you do,
Like if it was someone a little bit like us, like they'd take it. Whereas if it was someone a bit shy, they'd be like, "Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna say it's good."
yeah, I feel like if they're still in the case of like doing their qualification, they're probably a little bit like unsure of themselves. And if you do it confidently enough, you know, bicep curl. What do you mean? That's a bicep curl, bruv.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Let's end it.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. It's been a mad year. On to the next. Any closing words, Luke?
It's almost going to be a 52-minute episode.
Incredible.
Yeah, I know.
Bye,
How good is
everyone.
that? All right,
Bye.
see ya.